Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. Doing all right. How are you doing today?
It broke OBS like 20 minutes or 30 minutes before we were supposed to start recording. So that's how I'm doing.
Well, we'll make it a little bit better by talking about the win over the weekend from Ohio State over Marshall, 49-14. How about that? Will that make you feel better, Jared?
When we're talking about the offense, I'll feel better. When we're talking about the defense, maybe not so much.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump right into it here. So, yeah, definitely an interesting game.
Hey, Kyle, before we do that, new tradition, Good tradition. That was terrible performance. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. We're good now. So everything's fine. I'm not panicking anymore.
I feel looking at the by quarters here, definitely a very, very rough start for Ohio State in the first quarter there, being outgained by Marshall in the first half. Marshall started off very well, but I believe Marshall's coach said it best, was that the Ohio State defense suffocated the offense, and the offense just sputtered and just couldn't keep up. They just couldn't keep up as the game progressed there, and the numbers showcase that every quarter. Like Marshall started off really hot, 121 yards in the first quarter, and 82 in the second. 29 in the third and 32 in the fourth. The second half was just absolute dominance by Ohio State there, but definitely that first quarter, they definitely a rough start. But I mean, hats off to Stone Earl. He was just on fire, making great throws, and it wasn't really that Ohio State was in bad position or it was a misplay or anything, but I mean, it was just he got the time that he needed and made great throws, and occasionally he made those 2-3 yards to pick up a first down on third and short. So I mean, hats off to him. But Ohio State was able to pick that up after the second or third drive there and took care of business from there.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Ohio State's defense got a lot better once Stone Earl left the game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when he left that, yeah.
Let's be honest. I think that was more of a Marshall thing than an Ohio State, for being honest. Offense, spectacular. I mean, we'll get into the minutia of the grades here in a second, as I have the report card up. Offense, elite, tremendous, great performance. Defense, I'm very concerned, generally speaking, about this defense, whose defensive line, by all counts, should be amazing, not getting consistent pressure on the quarterback.
No, I mean, it is to be said that Tyleik Williams was out in this game here.
Yeah, and okay, but I want to see more consistent pressure from the defensive ends.
And I agree. Yeah, exactly.
One guy can't cause
that. Yeah.
Especially on this defense that is loaded. Tyleik, we weren't even expecting to have on this team. You know, everyone was expecting him to be gone among, a bunch of other guys on this defense. And, it has to be said, this was Marshall. You should be able to lose a defensive tackle, roll in a second defensive tackle when you're Ohio State and they're Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's start with the offense. We'll start with the good news here. First off, game plan here. Game plan. I'd have to give an A. I'd have to give an A there. The offense was just hitting on all cylinders. What a great response there. The defense struggled. And on that first drive, and Marshall went down the field for 13 plays over 6.5 minutes. And 2 plays later, Ohio State scores a touchdown on a 68-yard throw and run by Emeka there, or catch and run by Emeka.
Yeah, I think one of the things the offense was good at was both putting together long drives at times and also home run hitting at times. When you're playing a team like Marshall, it's good to see both. Like, you want to see both, right? You don't want to be big play dependent. You want to be able to put together good, consistent drives. But at the same time, when there's a talent gap, you should be breaking open big plays. And I think that's what we saw here. Yeah, that's good. What's the chat want for
interesting thing, Jared, while we're waiting for an answer here. Ohio State did not have a drive longer than 9 plays. They were all shorter than 9.
I know this didn't hold up in the second half, but in the first half, they only faced 1 third down and converted on it. That has to be said for
2.
something.
In the first half, they were 2 for 2 in third downs.
Okay, I only remember 1.
Yep, nope.
But that's fine.
All good there. But
Spike says a cover would have gotten an A+. That's not on the offense. That's not on the offense. No way Marshall should have got. Yeah, but we're
14 points.
Yeah, 14 points. But we're grading the offense right now.
Yep, grading the offense here. So.
We can talk about that when we talk about like overall.
All right, game management for the offense. I'd say A as well. They responded, as I mentioned, they responded really well off of the touchdown there. And I'm just looking here to see. The second touchdown was right before half, so that didn't matter. But started the second half, and they came out with a touchdown as well. Yeah, I liked what the offense did here.
Yeah, no argument. I'll also go with the straight A. Chat.
A. We got A's across the board there. Right.
We got A's.
All right. Moving to passing here. Passing, I'm gonna say A-. I'll say A- here. I'm gonna downgrade just a little bit from Will Howard here. Start off like almost every pass that he did was really well thrown, except for the 1 interception. That was just a bad decision, and even worse throw. Too. Just
I don't know if the throw was all that bad. It was
not high enough. It wasn't high enough for Smith to try to get it up. Yeah, he was trying to break it up, and he wasn't expecting that pass to come to him.
Well, and that's some freshman shit, because you always have to be expecting the pass.
True. That's true.
I quite frankly think at least some of that is on Smith. If we're talking about after the ball was thrown, that's kind of on Smith. But ultimately, that pass should not have been thrown.
Yeah.
Chat?
All right. A's. We see A's here.
Oh, okay. I did it. I also did an A.
All right. Running? A+.
Yeah. A+.
A+. I give this one an A+. Yep. S. We got S and A++ across here. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't. Yeah, but just A+ is max.
we were kind of kidding in the we're talking about after the game here, or maybe it was towards the end of the game. I know Henderson and Judkins are running back 1A and 1B, but I mean, looking at the first three games here, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You can see that Judkins has done really, really well with the opportunity he's had there.
Yeah. Before we start the conversation that you want to start, which is like who's number one and who's number two, Judkins is better against worse competition because he's more of a home run hitter. I think Trey is going to be at times more valuable against your Iowas of the world, against your big, strong defenses. I think he's going to be the guy that gets you 4 or 5 yards when you really need 4 or 5 yards, whereas Judkins is more likely to break it wide open, but maybe doesn't always get that 4 or 5 yards. So I think it's very easy to look through what has been, and let's call a spade, a very cupcake schedule so far and say, wow, look at the numbers Judkins is putting up. But these are the type of games where because again, he's more of a home run hitter.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair point. But both running backs, outstanding stellars. Both of them were averaging over 12 yards a carry.
Sparty will be a test. No, it will not.
No, they won't.
Sparty will be the best team that Ohio State has played so far.
More on that on our Tuesday episode in our Collegiate Chaos episode.
Yeah.
All right, receiving.
And again on Thursday. But
receiving. Yeah. Moving on to receiving. I can't recall that where there was like a dropped pass or anything. So yeah, I'd say a very, very solid day for me.
Technically speaking, there was. This is receiving, not receivers. So we do have to count tight end receiving.
Yeah.
In that sense. That being said, I thought the wide receivers were stellar. I will go A+.
You want a fun stat here, Jared?
I would just hold on. Emeka was fantastic. Smith was good, and he didn't get a lot of touches in this particular game, but Emeka carried the day, and was spectacular.
All targets. Now this is kind of misleading because I know the one target to Smith was an interception, but I guess if they had the opportunity to catch it, the receivers have caught it.
Yeah, that's just wrong. They absolutely targeted Jeremiah Smith, and it was not completed on the interception. So that line is just wrong, quite frankly.
But looking at all the other ones, 100% completion when thrown to Emeka, when thrown to Tate, when thrown to Ennis, they've all been caught.
Yeah.
That's Tate, stellar stat.
Yeah, Tate had a sneaky good game. I think they're blocking well on the outside, which isn't necessarily something we talk about. We'll talk about next. But yeah, it's again, Emeka carried the day. Tate had a sneaky good game. Jeremiah Smith is, a huge threat. The tight we finally got the year of the tight end last year, and to steal a line from Austin I think it was Austin in the Discord this weekend. This year is whatever the opposite of Yodi is. So yeah, this is not the year of the tight end, especially from a receiving standpoint. Our tight ends are blockers this year.
All right. Run blocking. I got to give an A+. I got to give A+ on that.
Yeah.
I don't have the stat. I wish I looked it up here. I don't know if there was a single play that went behind the line of scrimmage on a running play. I know that Will Howard got sacked once, but I don't know if there was a single running play that went negative yards.
Yeah, I don't remember one. Not by a running back, at least. A+ because Jared doesn't allow us to go higher. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. Like I think that the run blocking was spectacular. A lot of that is scheme. And I don't mean to disrespect the run blockers, the tight ends, the offensive line. But there's a certain amount of imagination in the run play designs this year that were not, it's the Chip Kelly effect. I mean, call it what it is. There's, by the way, just the funniest run of the day, especially if you count what was being seen in our Discord server. I'm sure it was being seen elsewhere. Ohio State lined up with 3 running backs in the backfield, and people in the Discord were like, wing T. Oh my God, it's a wing T. And then they just snuck it, which is just funny. Like, that's objectively funny.
I just quickly looked at.
They're going to throw that on film and then do something to the outside in the future. But hey, they've now put that formation on film. The other teams are going to now have to prepare for it. And when you're when you're in a much stickier game, you now will have the opportunity to, maybe run something else out of that.
I quickly looked at every play here. There was only one play that went negative yards. Oh, I'm sorry, 2. Two. Each Travion and Judkins each had a negative rush. So only 2.
Okay.
And so that's still really good. All right. Pass blocking. A. I can't complain. I can't really complain too much about it.
I mean, there was, I'm gonna tack a minus onto that. There was like a really bad whiff block later in the game. That being said, it did appear to be somewhat of an isolated incident. I believe it was Fryer and the Marshall pass rusher. Oh God, I'm blanking on his name. We talked about him a lot during Know Your Enemy. They kept him silent most of the game. Green. Yes. Green. Thank you, Spikes. They kept him silent most of the game, to be fair.
Only 2 tackles.
Yeah. But it was a whiff block. Like, it was a non-competitive. But that being said, it only happened once. So that has to be worth something.
Yep.
Yes, it was in fact Spike's key matchup of the game.
In offensive third downs, Ohio State went 4 for 8.
I don't care. So, that doesn't bother me. In the first half, when it mattered, they went 2 for 2.
Yeah. I'd say an A. Yeah, I'd say an A.
I went A+. When I think they only punted once when the starters were out there, or was it just once in total? But it was only once when the starters were out there. So that's good enough for me.
Yep.
I think even that was in the third quarter.
We got A in the chat here. All right. So overall, I mean, before we go into the defense here, stellar play by for Ohio State on their offense. Can't complain too much about what we saw Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and one more quick note on third downs before you do that. Sorry, I know you're about to ad break. The best third downs are the third downs you don't face. And again, they only faced third down twice in the first half.
Yeah.
That's why they get an A+ for me.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Do the thing now. All right. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a quick ad break here. Be sure to head on over to thesloopcast.com, where you can find all of our lovely links, such as our YouTube page, our Discord page, discord.thesloopcast.com. Also our Patreon. If you want to help support the podcast, you can head on over to patreon.thesloopcast.com. Only $3 a month to help support Jared and I and continue doing this podcast here. Or if you're not into do the whole Patreon thing, head on over to our merch store, merch.thesloopcast.com. Pick up a t-shirt to help support us as well. With that being said, we'll go ahead and take our quick ad break and be right back.
And we're back. All right. Actually, nope. Let's pull the report card back up. I'm throwing off. Right. I'm showing off my transition a lot tonight.
Let's go to the defense. Let's go to the defense here, Jared. Game plan. What do you grade the game plan, Jared?
Going with a C. I feel like they came into the game thinking that they could just rush forward the entire game and get to the quarterback, and they couldn't. And we can talk about if that's, and I feel like they didn't adjust to that quickly. They were not getting the pressure they needed. We should be able to rush forward and get pressure. We should. Mm-hmm. We didn't. But again, they didn't adjust to that appropriately.
I agree. I'm grading them a little bit higher. I'm saying at C+, like C- in the first half, but really stellar in the second half there. So I average it out to a C+.
Yeah, I will once again reiterate
C+.
C+.
B.
I will once again reiterate that the defense got better once their quarterback left. That's
we got
I don't think the defense got better.
We got C- and a D in the chat here.
Yeah, I went C. I went C-. I couldn't split between them.
Okay. All right. Game management. I got to give the same grade. Like a C+. So just put a C for me. Okay.
Yeah. You didn't get to the quarterback. You weren't making the correct adjustments. You were getting picked apart by a team that you should not be getting picked apart by. That's not acceptable to me.
Yep.
C- in the chat.
All right. Run stop. I mean, this is one thing that Ohio State should have done really well. And I mean, you look at it, 2.9 yards per average, really good. Really good on the rushing yards per average lighting up. But you look at the stats, it's 125 yards. So I'd say B-. I'm going to say like a B-, C+ for me. There's a lot of times, especially in that first half, on those third and shorts, they just let up. They just let up those first downs, and it was a little frustrating.
Marshall did not run the ball effectively, but they did run it clutchly. Like, I don't think that's not a word, but like when they needed to get a few yards, they got a few yards. It was like Ohio State was happy to go bend no break on them, which it's Marshall. Why are we going bend no break?
It felt like they got 5 to 6 yards on first down every time. Well, here's a fun stat. First down efficiency. Marshall was gaining 4.2 yards for every first down that they ran.
Yeah, but that's all plays. That's not runs. That's all plays.
That's all plays. Yeah. Rushing. So they rushed it 17. They rushed it 17 times on first down and got 4.1 yards.
Yeah. It's this. I'm gonna defend the defense for a second. Our expectations have gone up. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, we would have been thrilled with this game. Now, that being said, our expectations should go up. All right. Our expectations should be going up.
Absolutely. And that's why I rated it lower.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying everyone's like, oh, everyone looks at the stats and go, it felt worse. It felt worse. It felt worse. Your expectations are up. That's why. Logically, you're still holding them like to the same statistical metrics, but emotionally you're expecting a certain level of dominance. Moving our line backwards was the most concerning thing. Yeah, I agree. I think our defensive line lost to Marshall's offensive line. And that that should not happen.
We're not gonna. It's not going to be the same kind of game where Ohio State's defense only lets up less than 100 yards the entire game. That's
right.
Near impossible to repeat.
But 14 points to Marshall is not.
It shouldn't.
It's a failure.
Happen.
That's a failure.
All right. Pass rush. I gotta rate the pass rush. Yeah, correct, Jared. Yeah, a D. That's what I'm thinking as well. The pass rush, like non-existent there. One sack for the game, and there's a total of three tackles for loss all game. So
yeah. I'm
sorry, 7. I'm sorry, there were seven tackles for loss.
Yeah, the pass rush is not, and I think it was Spikes. Someone said it in the chat earlier, like they were going for a quick scheme, quick run, or quick release. Yeah, that's what everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're quicker, I'm not asking for 5 or 6 sacks a game, but you should always have a hand in his face. You should always be putting him on the ground. You should always force him to adjust his stance. I understand that the other team's going to try and get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. That's been the book on Ohio State for a decade at this point. I get that. But that doesn't mean he should have a clean pocket to throw from. I'm not, I'm not putting it. Yeah. What do you got, chat? I'm not putting this all on sacks. Sacks are very difficult to get when the other team knows you can produce them. But it's beyond that. Earl had a clean pocket to throw from most of the game.
Yep. All right. Pass coverage. I'm going to say like a B plus. I think the pass coverage was better. I was pretty impressed with the pass coverage. Other than Metcalf was getting open. He was like the only big weapon on the receiving end there. Everything else, I thought our defensive backs did pretty well. So I'd say like a B plus.
I disagree. I went D.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Our secondary is probably the strength of the team. I don't know if that's a ridiculous thing to say. I think we have 5 elite starters in the secondary, and I'm going to grade them based off of that. And you let Marshall get open pretty consistently. Sorry, you that's not acceptable. You had 8. Yeah, Metcalf had 8 catches. Braylon Brown had 3 catches. Fitzpatrick got 2 catches.
And those are normal. Those are normal. Like 3 catches and 2 catches. That's perfectly normal. And I understand. Like Metcalf had himself a great game, but completely understand that. But outside of that, I thought Ohio State did a pretty good job with coverage against the other wide receivers. But I mean, you got to also give credit to Stone Earl with putting those passes right where they need to be too.
Sure. He hit his open receivers. The problem is that they were open.
Mm-hmm. And it really was, you look at it, it was just 2 drives. You take those 2 drives away here, I just had the stat up. You take those 2 drives away, and that is like 90, almost 90 yards of their 132 through the air. Take those 2 away, and like we'd be talking a lot different about the. You would be grading the pass coverage a lot differently then.
Yeah, I would be. Unfortunately, those drives actually happened. We'd be grading Judkins' day a lot different if we took his 2 best runs away. Like you can't take them away.
All right, tackling. What do you got for tackling?
I didn't feel like there were a lot of missed tackles, quite frankly.
No, I didn't think so.
I know we're ragging on the defense today. But I part of the frustrating thing is that Marshall put together a lot of sustained drives. The drives were very long. And, part of the reason for that is they weren't ripping off huge plays because the tackling was there. Yep. The guys weren't so wide open that they were running after the catch much. I don't know what. Go ahead.
Only one play over 20 yards this game. Only one play. They tackled when they needed to. So yeah, B+. I thought they did really well. Actually, no. Let me grade them higher. A-. Let's do A-. It was really, really well tackled.
Yeah. Third downs.
Third down defense. All right. I gotta grade the game as a whole here. So I'd say like a C-, because that first half, that first half was like an absolute like F. They did horrible on third down, but obviously did much better after the first half. So I'll say like a C-. I'm looking here. So Marshall in the first quarter went 4 for 6, and then went 2 for 5 in the second quarter. So 6 for 11 in the first half, and then the second half they were 1 for 7.
As I've said, as Spikes points out in the chat, after Stone Earl got hurt, the improvement of the defense, I'm sorry, was not an improvement of the defense. It's the fact that Stone Earl left the game. I don't think the defense actually got all that much better. Marshall has a quarterback, and they lost him, and the defense magically got better when they lost him.
Yep. All right. Special teams. Are you talk about special teams, Jared?
Yeah, let's talk about special teams.
All right.
So, real before we do that, real quick, just want to point out, I changed this. I changed the report card a little bit. It used to be place kicking, kick coverage, and then punts and kickoffs. I wanted to simplify it a bit. I just went kicking, punting, returning.
That's fine. Yep. Kicking. F. Kicking F.
I also have an F. Don't know what the hell that was about.
I have no idea, but it caused him to be sidelined.
Yeah. I felt like an Urban Meyer special teams for a minute. Zach says, just type in dog shit. Yeah. Hey, at least we made all our extra points. So.
That's true.
I guess that's something.
Punting. I don't have anything bad to say for punting. Yeah. So I guess A.
How many times was it? Once? Was it twice?
Three times.
I may have zoned out a bit in the fourth quarter once the starters went out.
Mm-hmm. McGuire punted it twice, averaged 43.5. Much better than what we've seen the first 2 games. Much better.
Sometimes that's just opportunity.
Yeah. And then Nick McClarty punted it once in the I think it was the last punt, and that was only for 30 yards. So, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
Returning, I got to give that a low grade too. So I got to give that like an F as well too.
Yeah.
Like
Kyle, look at the screen, buddy. I got an F up there too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The fact that Marshall lined up incorrectly might have helped the actual game, but I remember dropping the punt in what could have been a
we all
disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, a lot of the other fair catches looked upsetting too. Quite frankly, like it's just it didn't look great. It was not a good punt catching day.
It was not. Nope.
No.
All right. Last ones here. Going for the team as a whole effort.
Hey Kyle, before we do that, why don't we go ahead and take our second ad break? Want to encourage everyone to actually hold on. Do this thing. Visit thesloopcast.com. That's where you can find all of our links. Go to patreon.thesloopcast.com to support us financially. Discord.thesloopcast.com to hang out with us. It's the only social media Kyle and I use on a regular, I mean, me anyway, use on a regular basis. YouTube.thesloopcast for the video version. RSS.thesloopcast for your podcast apps. Spotify, where the podcast is on Spotify. We have 2 separate merch stores. If you're watching the YouTube version of the show right now, you can see some of our t-shirts up on the screen. For the actual Sloopcast branded stuff, you can go to merch.thesloopcast.com. For stuff that's more just like celebrates the state of Ohio, you can go to 7071.thesloopcast.com. Though either way supports us the same financially. It's time to start thinking about Christmas. I know you don't necessarily want to think about that yet, but it's coming up. Especially since these are all print to order and therefore don't necessarily ship all that quickly. If you want, you might want to, order early. Here's that ad break now. Pay now so Jared can get a beard net. My beard is not even very long right now. It's a very short beard at the moment. I don't need a beard net. I'm good. Thank you for the offer, though. All right, Kyle. Overall grades.
All right. Why don't you swap us back here so we can see the...
My bad. There we go.
All right. Team effort. I guess like a B-.
I did a C+. That's very similar. I don't know. It's last cupcake game before the Big Ten schedule. It is what it is.
Was it a little just coming off the bye week and you're just going through the motions? I don't know.
A little bit of apathy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Again, the offense was great. Like it needs to be said, the offense was great. It was hitting on all cylinders. Kyle's answer, although I mean our answers are very similar, but it probably maybe should have been more of a B-. But the defense was incredibly lackluster.
Yep. All right. Discipline. Was there really any penalties?
I think discipline goes beyond penalties.
I know. Only 5 penalties here.
Dumb Caden Curry.
The
penalty.
Yeah. I mean, those penalties suck. Yeah. But yeah,
there was no reason for him to lower his head like he did. Like that was just dumb. Yeah. B.
C+.
C+. Yep.
All right. And execution. I guess I would say for execution, I would say B-.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, this depends upon the side of the ball, quite frankly. I'm actually going to go ahead and add a minus to mine as well. Yeah. I think the offense executed incredibly well. I don't think the defense executed well at all, as you can see in our detailed breakdowns. Yeah. We're saying C plus. Yeah, I think C plus
Yep.
is the general consensus from the chat.
Mm-hmm. All right. And the overall for the team here for this game against Marshall.
Spikes makes a good point. He lowered it to a C minus because the special teams. I don't think we should weigh the special teams evenly with the other two, but that's maybe just me.
The Ohio State's victory over Marshall, 49-14. Our overall for what we've seen for the game here, I'd say overall B minus as well.
Yeah, I did a B plus. I think you're probably closer. I think I'm going to take the plus off, actually. I think we'll just go with a B. Nah, you persuaded me. I'm going down to B minus. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe when I filled this out earlier, I may have been a little more generous. Talking it through, it's probably more like a B minus. We grade based off of expectation. We grade based off of the opponent. You didn't cover. You got to cover.
Yeah, you do.
More on that on Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. Anything
chat,
else, Jared?
What do you have? We'll see what chat has to say. C. We'll go with a C. We have consensus. All right. Yeah, there we go. Those are our grades. I'll leave them up there for a second for everyone to sink in on the YouTube channel. Yeah, it was a lackluster game. It's the kind of game you don't even remember in 4 weeks as long as you correct the issues. The things I'm most concerned about. Kyle, what do you, I'll actually, let me ask you first, then I'll give my answer because I feel like we're probably going to agree anyway. What are you most concerned about right now?
Right now, it's the pass rush. Right now, it's the pass rush for me. And it has been for a few years now.
And it doesn't make, we should have the talent up front to rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating that doesn't turn into actual sacks more often. And if not sacks, at least
I felt like
and pressure.
I think somebody in the chat said this felt like a very vanilla type of defense. Z Spikes did, yeah. It felt very, very vanilla. Like it didn't really seem like there was a lot of complexity with some of the play calling to try to get some linebackers and some mismatch opportunities. But yeah, maybe they didn't need to. I don't know.
I get that. I think you brought it up a few times during the, and by the way, I agree with you. That's also my concern if I didn't already say that. I don't know why you're so against cover one, Zach. I mean, I wouldn't want to run it all the time, but it's a perfectly good defense to work in sometimes. Probably gonna be running a lot of cover one against Michigan, which would be appropriate.
Maybe cover 0 from what we've seen from the quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, we do have a question. We do have a question.
Yeah,
here.
Let's get to the question. I lost my train of thought. It's fine.
Z Spike says, "Why is Judkins so good, and are we spoiled?" Judkins is a beast. Yeah, why he's so good is because he's a beast. He's making all the right moves, all the right cuts. And are we spoiled? Yeah, we are. Yes.
I mean, we're sitting here not very happy about a 49-14 game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching this and you're like, spoiled Ohio State fans, I get it. Like, okay. Fair criticism. But we're not trying to beat Marshall. beating Marshall is not the goal. And if you're sitting watching college football all day, like many of us do, you're seeing what Texas is doing. You're seeing what Tennessee's doing. You're seeing what Georgia's doing. You're seeing what Alabama's doing.
I don't know about Georgia. They haven't looked up.
Whatever. Well, we're not getting into that discussion right now.
Yep.
Those are the teams we're comparing ourselves against right now.
Yep.
Tennessee will somehow get stomped by Florida. That makes no sense, which means it'll happen.
Yeah.
Because that's college football.
All right. That's it.
That's the end of the show.
Yep. That's the only question that we have for today, Jared.
All right. That's it. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Early thoughts on the opener for Ohio State, Michigan State this weekend. Ohio State opens as a 25-point favorite.
I don't like that number off rip.
It's down to 23.5 now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It felt a little high. Although I think Ohio State does cover, it just felt a little high. That's all.
All right. That's it. That's all we got for today.
All right. Tonight's ending music, Columbus-based band called Pray for Sleep. That's Pray for Sleep. Tonight's song will be Lost on My Own by Pray for Sleep. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course support your local podcasters. Once again, Pray for Sleep.